One of the goals of the pod is to tell unique stories in sports media. Tyler Dunne is one of those. He's one of the best long-form NFL feature writers in the country, but he's also built a business on Substack in 5 years that has created well into a six-figure income. After a nice rise in the business from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel to the Buffalo News to Bleacher Report, he got caught up in layoffs and he started his own thing before it was cool. Now he's the main event. Tyler Dunne, really appreciate you doing this.
It is a pleasure to be here with an absolute legend like yourself, Andrew. Man, you've had many esteemed guests, so just to kind of be thrown in with all those names, man, it's an honor. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, very nice. Before we get to my sponsor, so let's just take people back a little bit. If you just give us the Cliff Notes, a lot of people know this story, but just give us the Cliff Notes version of how you got to starting the Substack. Then I'll do my ad, and then we'll get deeper into it.
Yeah, so it was a day in 2020, right? We all kind of remember 2020, unfortunately. Just a absolutely miserable year for many reasons. But I think it was one of those moments where part of you kind of anticipates it, expects it at some point at Bleach Report, a big company. I have amazing things to say about so many amazing people that were there, but we're all on contracts. We all know that bigger companies like Bleach Report might change their vision on a dime. So us that were in that writing lane, writing features, player profiles, be it NFL, NBA, we had a good crew there for a good 4 or 5 years. We all kind of knew that the vision might change, that they might move away from writing, which is unfortunate because we'd like to think that we helped the reputation of Bleach Report and maybe supply some substance to a brand that was full of aggregation and had that part of things figured out. It wasn't a shock. I just think in that moment, I was driving to Spot Coffee here in Western New York to work on a story at BR. Got the call from an editor who, to this day, I say he's the best editor that I've ever had working on stories, Jake Leonard, and he's like, "Hey, you might want to check your email. We're all kind of getting word from HR that folks are being let go." So, anyways, that's my long-winded way of saying I went back home, told my wife we had one child, a second on the way, and to this day, Gina says, "Man, I can't believe how like calm and almost at peace you were with everything." I think in the back of my head, I didn't really know what was going to come next. Athletic, Buffalo News. I mean, it's gonna geographically we weren't moving. Like we're here in Western New York for the long haul. Now we're actually building a house too. I didn't even know what Substack was at that point. I never even heard of it. I was just really ready for something new at that point to answer your question. And then after talking to some people, David Gardner, Matthew Collar, they introduced this thing called Substack to me. I started thinking, you know what? Maybe long form is dying in so many places that if I just do that, that is niche enough. That is a lane. That is a reason for people to reach for their credit card, put in that number, and subscribe to read. And thankfully, 5 years later, we're still going strong.
It took a lot of guts, and we're gonna get into that, how you developed it, and how where it is, where it's grown. We're sponsored by WSC Sports. No longer do you need to juggle or pay for multiple tools to complete your content workflow. It all happens in one place. They've been doing AI forever. You should use WSC Sports. It's in the show notes. Click the link, yell down, tell them Marchand sent you, andrewmarchand.com to be full-time subscriber. When you look at it, if you had talked to me, like I've kind of been a proponent of Substack for a long time, even dating back there. But if someone had said to me, I want to do long form features on the NFL in 2020, I might have said, maybe, but I'm not sure. Were you sure? What was your thinking? What was it? Tell me how you kind of thought, you know what, I can do this alone.
I was not sure at all. I wish I could sit here and say, Andrew, I knew damn well that people still want to read, but I'd be kidding myself. I mean, let's face it. Like that I think that was a reason I think a lot of us were all let go at Bleach Report. Like they're getting away from the 3, 4, 5, 6,000 word story, kind of funneling things through Instagram and TikTok and X and Twitter at that time. All so do people still want to like hit pause on life, learn something for a half hour, kind of take their brain back? That's the Substack line way back then. I wasn't sure. I had no clue, and to be honest, like I wasn't sure if like just NFL feature writing was niche enough. I talked to Hamish McKenzie at Substack, Dan Stone at Substack, the higher ups.
He's one of the founders. Hamish is one of the founders.
Exactly. So we had a great conversation, and that one of the things he stressed was you want to have a specific newsletter, right? The more niche, the better. And so if I was going to self critique myself launching Substack, launching Go Long, I didn't really know if that was gonna fly, right? I knew that people probably remembered me from the Packers days at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and of a certain Bleacher Report story on Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. And I live here in Western New York. I covered the Bills at the Buffalo News. So I knew I had a following there too. So do I create a Substack about one of those specific teams, or do I kind of lean into those 4 years at Bleacher Report where I'm parachuting into different markets around the country? At that point, it was the right time. It was a leap of faith, right? Because you just don't know. But I knew that, okay, I've got a Rolodex built up of players and coaches and scouts and teams. And I feel like I've got a compass to follow on what is an original story, what is fresh, what is different, what is going to make people stop what they're doing and want to read. And you're not always going to hit, right? Like I've written a lot of stories that did not have that effect. But if you can have that effect more often than not, I think you're going to be okay. Wherever you're writing, whatever you're doing in sports media, just being different and original. And you know what, Andrew? What really helped was I had some time to build it up. Like I couldn't really cut free from my contract at Bleach Report until like late November. So I had some time to really like plan this out, get a business plan, and most importantly, work on like 3, 4 big stories. So when I do launch, it's bang, bang, bang. You're getting people's attention. They know what you're about, and they're in. And I'm sure you run into this too. Like, what do you make free? What do you make pay? That's always the
Yep.
struggle, story to story, figuring that out. But by and large, I do, it kind of warms the heart in a way. I do really believe there are people out there who still want to learn and read and go beyond a press conference, which I didn't know at the time if there was enough of those people that in existence to kind of run a business on.
That makes sense. We're going to get into some specific numbers in a bit. To listen to the rest of the podcast, andrewmarchand.com, andrewmarchand.com to become a subscriber. That